Anna Gomez, your host for today. Today we're focusing on genetics, not just the normal, dominant, recessive gene traits that we all know about, but the disorders that genes can cause people. Let's hear our guest's background story to get a glimpse of what we will talk about today in the show.
My name is Amari Hicks and I have hemophilia A. The doctors diagnosed me at the age of 1 when my parents realized that a cut of mine took longer than usual to heal up. Throughout my life, I had to be very careful about what I did and how I played with my friends. Even though I was able to live a pretty normal lifestyle, I always had this small thought in my head telling me that I was different from everyone else. Many people have many misconceptions about this disease and don't actually know what goes on in a person's body, so I came here to share to the world the life of a hemophiliac.
This is truly a great way for people to learn about hemophilia. Let's give Omari a round of applause. Come on out, Omari. Hello, Omari. Nice to meet you.
How you doing? Nice to meet you.
Good. All right. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
All right. So tell me, Omari, how were you diagnosed with hemophilia?
So I was 1 year old. I fell down and got cut on my left leg. My parents began to realize that it just kept bleeding, and it was taking way too long to heal up. Being new parents, they got worried and took me to the emergency room. From there, doctors just began running a bunch of blood tests on me, and it was crazy. They realized that I had a deficiency in factor 8 gene, which is a clotting factor. Turns out my mother was a carrier of that disease. The family didn't really know, though, because they were just a bunch of sisters, and there was a mother, and she didn't have any male siblings.
Right.
So,
All right. So to clarify things, so what does being a male or woman, female, man what does all that have to do with having the disease? Like, do you know what that has to do?
Yeah. So hemophilia is a genetic disorder passed on through the X chromosome. As we know, women have the X chromosome, right?
Yes.
And men have an XY chromosome pair. Something to keep in mind, though, hemophilia is a recessive gene and can only be passed on through. So if a woman carrier passes on the collagen deficiency gene to a girl, the girl has another X chromosome to fall on, and this is why hemophilia is extremely rare for women. But for men, if a woman carrier passes on collagen deficiency gene, the boy has the effect.
All right, so in this case, the transmission of hemophilia is very important. Meiosis is also very important as well. Right. So meiosis is a process in which a sperm and an egg are formed. Right. In this process, the chromosomes are copied and line up on different sides of the nucleus. After that, the cell divides 2 times, and half of the chromosomes are in the sperm and the egg, right? The embryo then receives 1/2 of the chromosomes from the mother. Hemophilia comes in when one of these genes is deficient. So one of the clotting genes is deficient. And sometimes it is not necessary for the mother to have a gene. A spontaneous mutation in the child's clotting gene can cause hemophilia as well. Now that we have an in-depth detail of how it is passed, more specifically how it is passed through fertilization and meiosis and all those very complicated processes, tell us, Omari, what are the symptoms that you experience?
Well, the symptoms for hemophilia in general varies on the severity of hemophilia. So I have moderate hemophilia. Symptoms, I typically experience large, dark bruises, spontaneous bleeding. Excessive bleeding after any type of surgery, and then joint pain. That's a big one, and many other things. So
that's interesting. And how, through all those symptoms, how do you treat hemophilia? Is there any cure for hemophilia? Is it something bright in the future?
Unfortunately, there is no cure for hemophilia. I take an injection called hormone desmopressin. Okay. To help release clotting factors in my vein, basically. Then when there is a more severe reaction, an infusion of clotting factors donated from other humans may be needed to stop the bleeding after it started.
I see. So there is no cure, unfortunately. So there is something that has been brought up, gene therapy. So, if you would tell us, what is gene therapy and how strong do you think the future is for gene therapy for a potential cure?
Well, gene therapy is the use of genes to prevent any disease or at least treating it by replacing it. The deficient gene. is what you
Gotcha.
Although scientists are still working on it, they hope that one day gene therapy will cure hemophilia or decrease the dependence of infusions.
That's great news. Gene therapy is truly a remarkable, a new remarkable idea. Scientists also, there's a lot of research about hemophilia that I just wanted to cover with you. People believe that those affected with hemophilia will bleed to death. Is that true?
This is definitely not true, first of all. But unfortunately, many people believe that a cut will cause a hemophiliac to bleed. In reality, which is a person with hemophilia bleeds at the same rate as a normal person. Okay. Basically, many times just tend to with ointment or treatment, cuts will heal. So,
All right. So you see here, we just cleared up a misconception. People with hemophilia will not bleed to death. They bleed at the same rate. It just takes a lot longer for them to clog. So when they have more severe hemophilia, it's harder for them to clot. So it's more life-threatening, stuff like that. So especially after surgeries and stuff. All right, Omar. So I have one more thing to discuss with you. This might be the most controversial thing we talk about all day. Talk about ethics. Do you believe that people with hemophilia or any genetic disorder or any carrier of hemophilia should be allowed to reproduce, knowing that they could potentially harm their child's quality of life for the rest of their child's life, basically?
That's deep.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me think. In my opinion, they should be allowed to reproduce, basically. Although there is a chance that the child might come out with hemophilia, most hemophiliacs, they just have to be more cautious. I mean, look at me. I live a pretty normal life. Also, hemophilia has the potential to pop up spontaneously in a baby. It doesn't always have to be with genetics. So, that's another way it can happen. But, if a person with hemophilia or a carrier wants to have a child, let them.
And I do respect your opinion. There are many out there that actually have the opposite of your opinion, but it's great to see other people's opinions, what they think, especially with something so controversial. Well, Omari, thank you for coming in and sharing with us your opinion. And I'm sure we all have a better understanding of hemophilia, the symptoms, everything that has to do with the hemophilia. And for my audience, thank you for coming, and I hope we can see you again.
All right, thanks for having me.
All right, have a great day.